Welcome to Jimbo's Garage.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Jimbo's Garage. Well, today's video, we're going to be making a cantilever rolling gate. We're going to be using some of this roller hardware right here that is going to be going into a track that's designed for the hardware. And then we're going to throw in a little bit of decor, something like this, in the top of the gate. It's not going to be a very big gate. It's going to be about a 5 foot by 5 foot gate opening, but in order to get that opening on a cantilever gate, the gate itself needs to probably be a little bit more than double that size. So it'll be an interesting build. I've never done anything like this. Let's do it together. Let's get started on today's project.
All right, so this here is a section of track that I ordered. I got the rolling parts and stuff for this from kingmetals.com. This track came from Texas, and I had it shipped up here to California. It's a 20-foot long piece, and I wondered how they were going to get it here without bending it. Well, you can see that it's got a bend in it. Now, I don't need all of it. I only need a little bit less than half of it, and so you can see that's what I'm doing out here. I'm cutting the section that I do need out, and that is the straightest part. All right, once I got that done, it's time to start cutting all the pieces here. I'm using some 1 inch by 2 inch rectangular tubing. This is 0.95 wall thickness, about it's a little bit more than 1/16 of an inch thick. Now, a lot of people ask me why I put a metal backing plate behind my saw back plate there. And the reason is that if I don't do that, when I set the saw on a 45-degree angle, the blade does not go all the way through. So I put that little backer behind it, and it allows me to cut it all, make a through cut all the way through on a 45-degree angle. All right, with all the pieces cut right there, it's just time to get this assembled. You know, one thing I like about this, this is a good size right here. You can see it fits really nice on my welding table. It's a little bit less than 5 feet tall and a little bit less than 10 feet long. Therefore, it fits right on the table nicely. I just fixtured it up with my table dogs here and all my fixture clamps, you know, and I can't say enough for the welding table from weldtables.com. You know, for doing stuff, fabricating stuff like this, it just makes things so much faster and so much easier, especially when you have the right tools to work with. Compared to what I've done in the past, you know, it just takes so long for something like this, for me to do something like this in the past. It's just been forever. But when you got all the right tools, it not only does it take less time, but it is much more accurate. All right, everything clamped in place like this. I'm doing as much welding as I possibly can. Everything stays nice and straight. And then I'm just going to go ahead and clean up these welds. Putting a brand new flap disc on there. This is a 6D grit. And you can see I just cleaned the welds up. You know, I like them nice and clean like that. I've mentioned this in the past. You know, a nice clean job like this, when after it's painted or powder coated, it really looks nice compared to leaving the welds on. It just makes for a better finish look. All right, so this is the top part of the gate. Now, I've done a lot of work on this particular project that I'm working on. I've done a couple videos with gates and railings. You might see those in other videos that I've done. This project's been going on for about 6 months now. This is the very last gate, last piece to the puzzle on this project. So this is the top part of the gate, and then this is the decor that's going in the top. And you know, it's funny, this thing's come, I think, at about 96 inches, and that ended up being exactly what this gate is, 96. I didn't have to do any cutting or trimming or anything. It just fit right in there. That was kind of weird and lucky on my part. All right, you can see that I just put it in there, and I just kind of spaced it up with some blocks of wood, and that's trying to get it in the middle of the frame. And then I've got this this chisel or crowbar, whatever you want to call it, and I'm tweaking things around to bend everything in towards the center of the frame. All right, once I get everything tacked in and I'm happy with that, then I'm just going to go around and finish up the welding here. It doesn't require too much. There's not a lot of structural value here. It's just really kind of holding it in place a little bit, and I'm just kind of, you know, hitting it with welds everywhere I can, just to kind of keep everything nice and straight. All right, so it's time to get the pickets, and you can see that I am stacking these 3 wide and 2 tall at 6 at a time is what I like to cut. That seems to work the best for me with this saw and this blade. And I've tried it with less, I've tried it with more, and this is the most efficient way for me. All right, so I got all the pickets cut for the gate right here. But I realized I made a mistake here. That's what I get for getting in a hurry all the time. So the frame is made. I've got the top done, the decor piece in. But what I forgot to put in was this lock set right here. Now, this is something similar that I put on just a couple videos ago or so on another gate. So what happens is this thing's supposed to go right in here. And so needed to really, before I assembled this, it'd be better anyways if I would have cut this piece, fixtured everything down nice and flat, and then welded it in. That would have been the ideal way to go, but since I didn't do that, I'm gonna just set this thing to the side right now. I'm gonna go ahead and weld in all the pickets. The reason why I'm gonna do that before I do this is if I cut this thing right now, I might get some flex really hard inside this gate. There's some pressure in that. So I'm hoping when I weld all these pickets in, that'll take that away. And so when I cut this opening in to weld that in, hopefully we'll reduce the amount of flex that we'd have in this piece right here. So let's go ahead and get started. Yeah, so that's what happens when you get in a hurry. And so now I'm thinking that this is the best way. And just by putting the pickets in here first, I think that's going to stiffen up the whole frame. And when I go to cut that opening out, it's going to flex or spring a lot less than it would if I did not have these in here. At least that's my thinking anyway. Kind of hope it works that way. All right, so on these pickets right here, it's pretty standard procedure for me. These are 2x4 spacers, and they're just under 4 inches, about 3 7/8. I'm trying to keep it legal here in California. It has to be 4 inches or less. And I'm just going along here and spacing them up and getting them in the middle of the frame. And this happened to work out really close to being perfect here. I didn't have to do any kind of adjustment. I think there was about 1/8 of an inch or less difference here at the very end, the very last picket. All right, so what I like to do is, to keep the gate from warping a lot, I'll just tack it on top and bottom, and then I'll go along here and just get a little bit at a time, either way, all the way around. And as less amount of heat as I can get in it, the better. It seems to be that way, and it stays, a lot straighter rather than me trying to just weld everything all at once, all the way around. At least that's the way I found for me anyway. And I do like welding everything all the way around. I don't like leaving any openings in there. I've seen a lot of gates and frames and fencing that these guys, they just put one weld on either side of the pickets, top and bottom, and they kind of leave it open. I like to close it up all the way around. That keeps the rust or corrosion a lot less, and it makes for a better looking job. Takes a little bit longer, but in my opinion, it's just a better job to have everything welded all the way around. I decided to go ahead and keep it up right here to finish the welding on this rather than laying it down. I was just almost out of reach, but I was able to get that part of it done. All right, so it's time to cut in this box right here, and I'm just making my measurements now that I got everything. I'm hoping that when I do make the cut, that it's not going to spring too much. You can already see it starting to spring in just a little bit right there, and I'm being really careful right here because I didn't want it to bind and bind the blade, so I was a little bit nervous right here. It seemed to go through. I was taking my time, and it just fell right through there, so there wasn't a lot of pressure there. There's a little bit of flex in it, not too much, but I'm going to take that out here right now. As soon as I put that box in, I'm going to start clamping everything in place and put a bar in there and pull everything nice and tight. There's one thing here, you can't have enough clamps. You're going to see this here in a minute. I've just utilized about every size and shape of clamp that I have to get everything held nice and straight. And I'm kind of hoping when this gets welded in right here that it's going to stay this way. Probably going to move a little bit, but for the most part, I'm hoping it's going to stay where it is. This is a little lock set. I've got people ask me about this. I've used this probably 4 or 5 times here in the last year. They work pretty good. This is something I got this in my local metal supply store. They are available online. You can find them there. All right, there it is. You can see it's got a little bit of bow to it. Not too bad though. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, so this is the track right here, and I'm just going to clamp it into place. And this is what the rollers are going to roll on. You know, the whole idea with this gate is the customer wanted to be able to not see anything at the bottom of the gate when it rolls open and closed. He didn't want to have a piece of angle iron at the bottom. Didn't want to have anything that he'd be stepping over or walking over. And so this is, he asked me if I could do something like that. With a little bit of research, I did find this roller track, and I've never used anything like this, so I'm kind of hoping it works out pretty good. So what little bend this track had in it, I was able to take it out with the clamps, and you can see I'm just going along here about every I don't know, foot or so, every 9 or 10 inches maybe, and just putting about 1 inch long just to hold everything in place so it doesn't move around. All right, the rollers just slide in place like this. They also have a little end cap with a rubber stop on the end, and that's just the way it's supposed to go. You can see I've got a temporary clamp down on my welding table, and that is it. And you can see it rolls closed, and there's nothing underneath the opening there. And that I'm pretty happy with this turned out, and you know, I might be doing a few more of these in the future. You can see how it slides over the opening right there. Remember, the opening is only 5 feet wide, and there's nothing underneath it, and it's held up pretty good. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Something different for me, and I hope you guys learned something from it. Don't forget to check out my website at jimbosgarage.com. Follow us on Instagram. Check us out on Facebook. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.
See you next time on Jimbo's Garage.